Before we get started and really dive into vision, I want to share a little story with you all that few people, some people that are very close to my husband and me know about, but not everybody does. So this past summer, Noah, my husband, and I spent a lot of time up in New York with our families. As many people did during the very strict quarantine. We were on lockdown pretty much with our families, and we so treasured that time that we got to spend, particularly with our parents, with our siblings. And we just were doing what we needed to do to stay safe. But the reality was that as nomads, we were starting to get a little bit antsy, right? Like, we're used to going from place to place and not always knowing where we're going to go, but looking for it. We always are looking forward to that next destination. And here we were living a very different lifestyle. We went from constant change and constant change of scenery, like week to week, to being in the exact same town pretty much from week to week. And that was a big change for us. And so what we knew is that while we didn't know if it was safe to get back on the road, for example, we used laundromats. That's something that we depend on a lot. And we didn't know if it would be safe to go out and be exposed, and use a laundromat. Or we knew that RV parks, which we rely on a lot for water and for other amenities, they were closed. And so how are we going to get water? And so we knew that there were some limitations in our ability to get out there. But we knew that there were other ways for us to get outdoors more. And so we thought, and never in a million years did I think that we would think this as nomads, but we thought and started to put into action the steps to get a piece of land, to buy property. We dragged our parents with us to go look at different properties, and we found this beautiful piece of land that was like 20-30 minutes from our parents. It would have been really convenient, and it was beautiful, had views of the hills. And the one thing that stopped us, we were so close to doing that, to really thinking that this was our one choice, was that this particular piece of land did not have cell signal. There was no way that we would have been able to work in that particular property. And so that was just non-negotiable for us. We absolutely needed that. And thinking back, I'm so grateful that there was no signal in that particular piece of land, because the reality was that we would have had to give up our vision. We would have been betraying the vision that we worked so hard to define and so hard to put into life. The pandemic really almost made us lose sight of our vision. So when Noah and I set out to live this life as nomads almost 18 months ago, I can't believe it's been over a year and a half, we did it with a very intentional, articulated vision of how we wanted to live our life. We knew that we wanted to live with freedom, with adventure. We wanted to prioritize new experiences over things. And we also wanted to inspire other people along the way to live their own someday now. Maybe it wasn't RV living, but everybody has a dream. We want to inspire other people to, not wait and go for it right now. And so, had we bought that land and settled in that one spot, we really would have given up on that vision, right? And now that we're back on the road, I'm so glad that we are reconnected with that vision. First of all, because it's what motivates us. Every day that we wake up, we're excited to see what new place we're going to go to. It actually motivates my work as a coach, right? That particular piece of helping others to live their someday now is so tied to my mission as a coach. And it would have been really hard to have that be my message had I gone against the vision that we worked so hard to build. And it also helps my husband and I to feel motivated, to feel excited about working as a team. There's some parts that are very unglamorous about this lifestyle, like going to fill up on water and going to clean our, very yucky tanks. And, those things just are part of this lifestyle. And because we have this vision of what the ultimate outcome will be and has been, we stay motivated to work together. So having a vision is really what gives you purpose. It's so foundational to making sure that you have a destination. And it's going to change, right? It doesn't have to be a vision that is your vision now and it's going to be your vision forever. As a human being, you're going to change, and your vision is going to change with you, and that's okay. but it's always important to have that compass, that destination that you're working towards, to give you a sense of motivation, of excitement, and to ultimately give you that purpose and that fulfillment. Just like with a company, a life vision provides that direction towards which to move, and it also helps you define what success means to you. So if you know what you want, if you know what success looks like to you, then you're more likely to stay on track towards that. You're going to have these guardrails that are telling you, are you on the right path? Are you fulfilling the steps that you need to cover in order to fulfill that mission, that vision? So the issue is, though, that while it's such an important thing to have, we tend to think that, oh, well, that's something for companies, right? Or maybe we've thought of it, but haven't really spent time developing that vision. I know I hadn't when, 2 years ago, I just kind of felt like, what am I supposed to do? Something's missing. I know there's something greater out there, but I hadn't really spent the time to articulate it. And if that's you, that's totally fine. That's part of the goal of today, is not only, did I just share, why it's important to have one, but I also want to give you some steps to how you may want to go about defining your own vision. And those steps are, and I just made this up, I made up the wording, although it's very well founded on my training as a coach, but that is think it, expand it, feel it, and write it. So when I say think it, I want you to think about your values. Your values is a topic that we covered 2 weeks ago on Thriving Thursday 2 weeks ago. And we talked about how to get in touch with your values. Some questions to consider, when you think about what's important to you, are what is important to you? What must happen in your life in order for you to feel fulfilled? What are those times in your life when you have felt that everything is in place, everything is as it should be? In those moments, what was true for you? Or conversely, what were the moments where you felt that something was off, that there was just a misalignment there? Sometimes we can identify our values a lot easier when we're not experiencing them, right? Or somebody has crossed us in a way that conflicts with our values. So really spend some time thinking about what's important to you from the perspective of your values. In addition to your values, think about your strengths. Right? If you've ever done like a Strengths Finder or one of those assessments, use that information as input into your vision. What are your strengths? What are the gifts, the experience that you have, and how does that match up with the impact that you want to make? And that might be an impact for world peace, or it might be an impact with very individual people, or it might be an impact in your own life. There's no need to judge what that impact is. Simply think about, how can I marry what's important to me, my values, with my strengths and my gifts, with the impact that I want to make. So that's think it. Spend some time reflecting on these particular pieces and how they shape your vision. So once you've thought it, now it's time to expand it. And what I mean by that is, don't mistake vision for goals. Goals are something else. They're related, but they're not the same thing. So vision gives you an opportunity to think big, to not limit yourself to particular steps, particular actions that you have to take. Creating a vision is really the fun part, because it's limitless. You can really think about, what would I really like if there was no room for failure? What would I want to experience? What would I want my life to look like? So allow yourself that room to really think out of the norm. Push yourself to not conform yourself by the limitations that you've already created through your experiences, through your perceptions, but kind of break through that and break from that to think much bigger, right? If there was no room for failure, if money wasn't a factor, what would I want to experience in my life? That helps you to create a really compelling and a really inspiring vision. So think it, expand it, and then feel it. One thing that has really helped me be very committed to my vision, particularly the aspects of being a nomad, right? It's not always easy. There's a lot of great fun, but it's not always easy. What's really helped me connect is to think about the feelings that I know I'm going to get by living my vision, right? It's not just about articulating it with words, but also articulating with feelings. How do you want to feel? Right? Maybe you want to feel excitement, curiosity, peace, joy, unity, community. what are those feelings? And actually spend some time closing your eyes even, right? And just allowing yourself to feel what those emotions are like, how they show up. Do they show up in your belly, in your gut? Do they show up in your heart? Like what is it that you're experiencing as you think about and visualize how you're feeling, and allow yourself to not just think about it, but feel it in the moment, right? That'll help you to inform your vision. And it'll also help you as you're pursuing that vision to have a reminder of what it is that you want to feel as you're bringing that vision to life. So think it, expand it, feel it, and the last step is to write it. And I really mean this, right? Write it down, articulate it, grab your favorite notebook, piece of paper, make sure that you are putting it into words. And as you're putting it into words, describe how it feels, describe what it is that you're seeing, what it is that you're sensing, smelling, tasting, hearing, use your senses, and also write it in present tense. That's one thing that I learned in coach training, how important it is to not think about like, oh, someday, right? I will, blah, blah, blah. It's not about that. It's starting to internalize that vision today. And so you write it as if you were already living that vision. All right. So think it, logically think about your values, think about your strengths, your gifts, and how that ties to the impact that you want to make. Expand it. Don't stay constrained to just goals, right? Don't even worry about the how right now. Really focus on the big picture, on what's compelling and what's really exciting and different and maybe even risky, right? It doesn't quite fit into the norm of today. That's fine. Just go for it. Then feel it, internalize it, visualize what feelings will come up with for you, and then write it in the present tense as if you were already living that vision. So the last part that I want to talk about is how to honor it. And what I'm about to say might sound a little bit contradictory, a little bit counterintuitive. And stay with me for a second. So now that you've defined and you've written down your vision, it's time to let it go, of the vision, ignore it for a little bit. And I don't mean don't think about it, right? I just ask you to internalize it. Gosh, what I mean is don't obsess about it. And especially don't obsess about the details of the how, right? Don't obsess about like, okay, I have a vision and then I'm going to do this and this and this and this in order to bring that vision to life. And that's exactly how it's going to work. No. So, for instance, when Noah and I set off in this lifestyle, we knew that adventure was something that we really wanted to have as part of our vision, right? But we didn't define how we were going to live adventure. Yes, we were going to be RV nomads. That was a big how. But within that, we didn't plan, and we don't plan. We actually plan very little of how we go from destination to destination. We'll typically say, let's go to Idaho or let's go to Colorado. And then, sometimes even a few hours before we are going to arrive, we'll look up exact places where to stay or reviews or things like that. And so it's a very fluid process, and it's for a reason. It's because we want to make sure that we're not so blinded by this one way to do things, but rather we are staying open to unexpected opportunities. And so as I've worked with different clients, I've noticed that there's this attachment, and I've struggled with this myself, this attachment to make sure that, if you're going to achieve X, Y, or Z, it's going to be this way and this way only and in exactly this way. And oftentimes that's what prevents us from embracing the unexpected and embracing those opportunities that we didn't plan that are exactly the path that we should go on. So I hope that this has helped. Make sure, I encourage you to spend some time working on that vision. It's so important to help make sure that you feel like you have a compass, a light, the light in the forest that's guiding you as you're going on that hike, right? That is your vision. The how comes after that, right? And even with the how, don't get so attached to exactly how it's going to come to life. Give it room to breathe and, bring it to life without control or attachment. All right. Happy Thriving Thursdays to you all. Thank you so much for joining. I see I have 3 people. I'm so just honored and thrilled whenever I have people live. And I also know that many of you catch the show later after work. or on the weekend. And I just want to say thank you for making the time to be here. I so appreciate your support, and I hope that this is helpful for you all and helps you create some steps and put some things into place for better living. All right. Happy Thursday. Happy Thriving Thursday. I will see you next week. Bye.